You're fired." My boss didn't even look up from his laptop when he said it, just pushed a folder across the desk like he was returning a library book. I stared at him. For what? He finally looked at me and smiled, the kind that never reaches the eyes. Poor performance. Poor performance. That was interesting, considering I had just finished the biggest project our department had seen all year. But the strangest part? When I stood up to leave, he added one more sentence. "Don't worry, Mark will take over your project." That's when everything made sense. And that's when I realized this wasn't about performance. This was about office politics. What my boss didn't know was that the email scheduled to send in exactly 2 hours was about to ruin his entire career. 6 months earlier, our company had started working on a massive contract with a national retail chain. Landing that client meant millions in revenue. Everyone in the office wanted to be involved, but the responsibility landed on my desk. Research, planning, meetings, proposals. For months, I worked late nights while most of the office went home at 5. The only person who seemed interested in my progress was Mark, one of my coworkers. He would stop by my desk almost every day. "Need help with anything?" he'd ask. At first, I thought he was just being friendly. That was my first mistake. 3 weeks before the project deadline, my boss suddenly started acting different. He stopped replying to my emails. Meetings got canceled. Then one morning, he called me into his office. "We're restructuring the project," he said. "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means Mark will now be presenting the final proposal to the client." I was confused. "But I built the entire plan." He shrugged. "Team effort." Team effort. Those 2 words told me everything. Mark wasn't helping me. He was studying my work. From that moment, I started paying attention, and what I found was interesting. Emails forwarded behind my back, files copied from the shared drive, even my presentation draft downloaded onto Mark's computer. It was clear what they were planning. Take my work, give Mark the credit, push me out. So I did something simple. I prepared 2 versions of the project file. One was the real strategy. The other looked similar, but the financial projections were completely wrong. And guess which file Mark copied? The day of the client presentation arrived. The conference room was full. Executives, managers, the client's leadership team. Mark walked to the front confidently while my boss watched proudly. "Our strategy will increase your company's revenue by 40%, Mark began. Then he opened the presentation. Within 5 minutes, the problem started. The numbers didn't match the client's data. The projections made no sense. One of the executives interrupted him. "Where did you get these figures?" Mark froze. He flipped through the slides trying to recover, but the deeper he went, the worse it got. Finally, the client's CEO spoke up. "This isn't the proposal your analyst showed us last week." The room went silent. My boss frowned. "Which analyst?" The CEO pointed directly at me. "That one." Suddenly, every head in the room turned. My boss looked shocked. "You spoke to the client?" I nodded. "They had some questions about the strategy, so I sent them the correct version." Mark's face went pale, because at that moment, everyone realized what had happened. He hadn't built the project. He had stolen it, and stolen the wrong version. The meeting ended quickly. Executives started asking questions. Emails were checked. Files were reviewed. And within 2 days, the truth was clear. Mark had copied my work and tried to present it as his own. My boss had approved it. Both of them were called into HR. Both of them were gone by the end of the week. 3 days later, I received a message from the company director. "Come to my office." When I walked in, he handed me a contract. "You saved that deal," he said. Inside the folder was a new title. Senior Project Manager. The promotion Mark had tried to steal. As I left the office, I passed Mark packing his desk. He looked at me with frustration. "You set me up," he muttered. I stopped for a moment. "No," I said calmly. "You just stole something you didn't understand." Then I walked away. Because sometimes the best revenge in office politics is simply letting the wrong people take credit for the wrong thing.